All right, today's question we're asking, it's a special holiday edition to our Apologetics series. The question is, are the holidays we celebrate biblical? So we're talking about the pagan origins of some of our holidays, the weird traditions, the things that don't seem to fit, like why do we paint eggs and why does the Easter bunny have anything to do with Jesus raising from the dead? Why do we have a tree in our house for Christmas? Why do we eat turkey for Thanksgiving? What else? Let's just write up, what are the holidays that your family celebrates? Let's list them up. Pi Day, 3.14 Day, March 14. Pie breakfast. Let's list up some of the holidays.
Okay, I will.
Okay, Pi Day. This is some weird ones. That's fine.
My birthday.
Your birthday. Oh, celebrating birthdays. I never even got into that. But okay, did you know that Jehovah's Witnesses, which are a cult/sect of Christianity, did you know, do they celebrate birthdays? No, they do not.
Why?
Here's why.
Why? Because don't just self-serving. It's self-idolatry. Actually self-worship. This is actually not a good.
They believe that birthdays, Ruben, are worshiping yourself, which kind of makes sense, right? Like on your birthday, it's like, it's all about me. It's my birthday. Let's do everything I love. And everyone sing to me, bow down before me. It's my birthday.
Give me presents.
Give me presents. Bring me offerings. It kind of sounds like, what?
But like, who do you actually have to thank for your mother? Your mother and father. Okay? But then your mother brings you a gift. But like, really, every time we celebrate one of my children's birthdays, I should be given flowers.
Yeah, you didn't do anything. You just got squished out and cried.
Wait, Brian, I always feel guilty when I get gifts.
Oh, interesting.
What about the others?
Yeah,
Because the other
interesting.
people like in the family
Feel guilty
don't.
about that. Okay, what other holidays do we celebrate? What other holidays does your family celebrate? Christmas.
Canadian Thanksgiving.
Canadian Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving. We get 2 Thanksgivings. It's the best. What else? What are the holidays? We have America Worship Day.
4th of July.
4th of July.
America Worship Day.
America's birthday.
Church.
Church. Do you think church is a holiday?
Yes.
Every Sunday we come here. I guess maybe, sort of. Okay, that's a holiday we celebrate weekly. The Sabbath, the Sunday. Easter. Easter is the day of Jesus' resurrection. Black Friday, where we celebrate consumerism and buying stuff. Labor Day. 9/11. That's not an official holiday yet, but
We didn't find this term just now, so
Oh.
I guess we should probably.
sure.
We work all the time on holidays. We gotta get our house all looking nice so the people come over.
That's just the straight definition of a holiday, is a day of festivity or recreation when no work is done. So
you're not saying this
it's not,
has to be it. Okay.
yeah, it doesn't have to be a day with work is off.
What about Veterans Day? If we're saying that Sunday could be a holiday, then why couldn't 9/11? Because
Sure.
Sunday's not a
I was
holiday.
correct, but it's a day off. I don't know. Maybe I think someday we probably will have a 9/11 day. So if your family does something special to remember 9/11 on 9/11 day, then that counts. Sure.
Veterans Day.
Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. Yeah, we've even extended the day before. Let's have more parties. I heard Veterans Day and Labor Day, Memorial Day, Valentine's Day. What day is that? Donut Day?
Bible School Day.
Yeah, National Revival School Day.
Henry. President's Day, Martin Luther King Day.
A lot of politics.
If you live in Canada, there's even more. There's like Family Day, BC Day. They have other ones.
Is there
Okay.
a holiday for day? Is there a holiday?
The day? Yes, it's summer solstice, where the day is the longest. You don't sacrifice to the sun god on summer solstice? They used to. I'm serious. They used to.
What's the 1 month with basically no holiday?
Um,
Is it March?
March has
St. Patrick's?
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patty's Day.
What about June?
Valentine's Day.
There's no holidays in June.
Father's Day, Mother's Day.
Father's Day, Mother's Day, Grandparents' Day. Okay, lots of days.
FFA has a tractor day.
Tractor Day. Okay.
Because every day is Children's Day.
Yes.
That's what my parents call.
So, looking at this list, Andrew, you have one more? Halloween. Yes, we did.
Well, we're all Christians. We don't want to talk about it.
Someone said Valentine's Day. Okay. Shh.
911.
Listening. Looking at this list, are these holidays biblical? Does God want us to celebrate these holidays? Does God tell us to celebrate these holidays in the Bible? That's our question, okay? Are these biblical holidays? And then, because of that, if they're biblical or not biblical, is there anything wrong with them? Should we celebrate them? Should we not celebrate them? There's another, do you guys know the root definition of holiday?
Holy Day.
Holy
Who said
day.
that? Support hands.
Good job.
Who was that?
That was Wiley.
Smart.
Holy day. You can see it now, right? Holy day. Change the I to a Y. Holy day. So what does holy mean? What's the definition of the word holy?
You like smart kids here.
I love it. No.
Definition of holy.
Well, what does holy mean?
Like out
There's
balls?
lots of holes in it.
Yes.
Yeah. Important?
What?
Important?
Important?
Like God.
More than that? Yes. Set apart. That's the official definition. Good job, Caitlin. So it means a day, and that really makes sense with holiday, right? It's a set apart day. It's a special day, like you said, special, right? Or important. You said important. Special, important, set apart. It's different than the other days. So when we say God is holy, we're saying he's different than any other God. He's different than anything. He's set apart. And he says to be holy as I am holy, that means we need to be different, right? So it's something that's set apart, set, maybe for a special, set above even. So, set apart day. That's the debate. That's kind of a biblical definition of holiday, and that's where it came from. So here's some of our challenges. Thinking about some of these holidays have pagan origins. Some of these holidays that we celebrate have roots in evil celebrations. So how does that play into, should we have a Christmas tree? Because maybe people did that and worship the Christmas tree. So does that connect us to idolatry? It connects us to evil things. Second, these celebrations can become idolatry, right? Like we can get so obsessed with our, I don't know, people have birthday week, birthday month. Well, it's my birthday year, guys, so it's special. Like we can see how things can become all about self or all about stuff, right? Like Thanksgiving, it could easily become just a stuff your face day and a celebration
And that's
of
a sin.
gluttony.
Yes. And how many pastors have ever preached on gluttony before?
Probably all of them.
Like, no. It's so weird. It's an American thing. Like,
Should I do it so that I can?
Born on December 25th.
Oh.
Yes. So does God want us to, celebrations can become idolatry, right? We can become all about the presents on Christmas and not remember what it really should be about, right? It can get distracted. Now, and other challenge, does God want us to celebrate holidays? Does he want us to celebrate that holiday? Does he want us to celebrate holidays at all? Jesus was not born on December 25. Did you know that?
Yes.
Who knew that? It's not actually Jesus' birthday. Now, number one,
365
okay.
chances he was born on this day.
it's actually less than 365 chance because they would not have been doing the census during winter. And the sheep wouldn't have been out grazing during winter. So those are a couple things. We don't know what day it is, but we don't think it was during winter. Probably spring.
So Israel's in the northern hemisphere.
Mhm.
So that December is winter there.
Yes.
Okay.
The Australians.
Right. It's summer.
Yes. So we don't know what day Jesus was born on, but we think it was not during winter. So December 25 is not a likely candidate. It's less than a 1 in 365
Okay, you
chance.
got all these questions, Brian.
No, Santa Claus does not have an E. You spelled it
Oh,
wrong.
but Brian put it in here as an E.
Like,
Oh, that's like the movie, The Santa
Yeah.
Claus.
Okay, sorry, everyone.
Okay, what about
No,
Santa Claus?
Questions.
Oh, so many questions. Johnny.
So if Jesus wasn't born on December 5th, why did someone choose December?
Exactly. Good question. We're going to get to that. Henry.
I think it might be possible because first of all, there was warming then. And if we're
So it would have been colder then. Jesus would have frozen with just little swaddling clothes on in a barn.
He shivers when he wakes. It's given broom, silver, and gold. Like, no.
Yeah, that'll.
But all the
They're gonna like it.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay, Santa Claus, what does he have to do with Jesus' birthday, right?
Nothing.
What does the Easter Bunny have to do with Jesus' resurrection, right? So these are the challenges. What's the other one? What about Halloween? Isn't it like a celebration of evil?
Yes.
Like, should we celebrate that? Okay, keep moving. What about Thanksgiving? Where's Thanksgiving in the Bible, huh?
It's not. It happens after the Bible.
So here are our challenges, right? So here's the challenges as a Christian, thinking biblically, what should we do with these holidays? Okay, let's look up some Bible verses that talk about holidays. Jeremiah 10, 1 through 5. This is Ellie. Colossians 2, 8. Who wants to do?
And 16 to 17.
Colossians 2, 8 and 2, 16 and 17. Caitlin. Romans 14, 5 and 6. Addison. Exodus 20, 3 to 5. Trevor. 20, 3 to 5. Yes.
Then we say
Galatians 4, 8 to 10. Who wants to do Galatians? Andrew. Franny, you want to do Exodus 23, 14 to 16?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here's some verses I found in the Bible that talk about holidays and the issues surrounding holidays. So let's see what the Bible says about this topic. Ellie, start us off with Jeremiah 10.
Hear the word that the Lord has spoken to you, house of Israel. This is what the Lord says. Do not learn the ways of the nations or be terrified by signs in the heavens, although the nations are terrified by them. For the customs of the people are worthless.
Listen.
Customs of the people are worthless.
Listen to this.
Someone cut down a tree from the forest. It is work by the hands of a craftsman with a chisel. He decorates it with silver and gold. It is fastened with hammers and nails, so it won't totter. Like scarecrows in a cucumber patch, their idols do not speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them, for they can do no harm, and they cannot do anything good.
What does that sound like?
Christmas tree!
Christmas tree! They're evil!
cut down a tree from the forest, they decorate it with silver and gold. They fasten it so it doesn't fall over.
Okay.
Have to put popcorn on it.
Depending on... It doesn't say popcorn. So that's okay then.
Henry, you have a question?
Henry. Okay. So, this is interesting. This is a verse a lot of people quote to say Christmas is evil, Christmas trees are evil. Especially if you read the King James Version, it doesn't talk. So it says he chisels it, right? So we kind of like, he forms it into an idol kind of thing. The King James Version just said he cuts it down with an axe. It doesn't say chisel. So it sounds exactly like Christmas, which is interesting. I think that the craftsman shaping it with a chisel is more accurate to the original. So that's why it says that. But yeah, this sounds like idolatry, making an idol and worshiping it, but it also sounds a lot like Christmas trees, right?
Now you've got
Interesting.
Is that a
Ollie.
hand, Ollie?
It's not really adultery if we don't worship it.
Good point. It's yes, it's not maybe it's not idolatry, but should we put an idol in our house even though we don't worship it?
That's a great question.
So that's
Should you have Buddha in
so
your house?
thought.
If you
Anyway,
don't worship it?
yes.
I think it's kind of like the one story about eating the meat that was sacrificed to the idol. I think that it can be bad if you're treating it like that, but if it's just a Christmas tree that put places on.
I agree with you, but I'll push back. Then why put it in our house at all? If it has roots to evil, if some people worship it, why should we do it at all?
Mom did say it's Christmas.
Yes.
That we can use it as kind of a memory for Jesus.
Okay. How does the Christmas tree point to Jesus? I'm just going to push back.
It can remind you that Jesus was born.
Okay, there are some things about a tree that we've like retroactively done. Lizzie.
There's this story in the Bible, I don't know actually if it's in the Bible, I think it is, about how people worshipped a big oak tree called Thor, and they said if you cut it down, like the gods would get angry or whatever. So then when somebody was like telling them that it wasn't, just cut it down and nothing happened, and then he was like, take this tree and put it in your house and see it was like a pine tree and it points to heaven.
Oh, interesting. So yeah, so there's some retroactive. That's one thing I've heard. A Christmas tree points to heaven. I don't know. This is kind of like, okay, the candy cane. I've heard stories too. Oh, you flip it over, it's a J for Jesus, and the stripes tell us that, by your stripes you were healed. It's actually a shepherd's hook. So there's some retroactive things you've done. There's a star on top that points to Jesus, stuff like that. Anyway,
Or an angel.
interesting. Okay, let's keep reading our verses, and because this is going to give us a full picture of the biblical stance on all this. Caitlin had Colossians, so 2:8, and then read 16 and 17 as well.
See to it that no one takes you captive by philosophy and empty deceit, according to human tradition, according to the elemental spirits of the world, and not according to Christ.
Okay, so no one takes you captive by their philosophy and tradition, okay? So that's one thing. We shouldn't be held captive. Like, we shouldn't be forced to or do things blindly. We should always think about why we do the things we do. So, and then 16, 17.
Therefore, let no one pass judgment on you in questions of food and drink, or with regard to a festival or a new moon or a Sabbath. These are a shadow of the things to come, but the substance belongs to Christ.
Okay, so what does that tell us?
Don't eat or drink.
Have no one pass judgment on you for what you eat or drink, right? So, for these things...
Ruben's just gonna die. The Bible said not to eat or drink.
They are the substance of things pointing to Christ, right? Like Christ has created the whole world, so all these things can point to Christ.
That echoes a little bit of what Henry said. Was like the meat sacrificed to idols. Like if someone in clear conscience just ate the meat and didn't know anything, like let them go.
Mm-hmm.
And Caitlin's verse is kind of like, don't pass judgment on each other.
Yeah. So, it's kind of maybe more like a personal choice. Like, you shouldn't judge the heart, right? Like, we talk about, like, Ollie, you said, like, you can have the tree in your house, but you don't worship it, right? Like it's not an idol to you, right? So that's judgment of the heart. Like, is it your heart or not? And so, we can't judge people's hearts. We can only, observe their actions. So we're limited in that. Yeah. Lincoln.
About the Christmas trees, how you said, like, if somebody uses idols, should we even have it in our house? That also, but like, that wouldn't make sense. Like, there's some people in the world, they worship cows as God, but we still have cows, so should we not have cows?
Good thought.
Right. Because
Right?
anything can be an idol.
You can make anything an idol, so yeah. Like, maybe we shouldn't eat McDonald's because... Right. What if people worship houses? Yeah, good point. Micah.
But we can use it as decorations.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's read more verses. Who had Colossians 14?
No, Romans 14.
Sorry, Romans 14.
Right?
All right, Addie.
Romans 14, 5 through 6.
Yeah, for one person esteems one day as better than another, while another esteems all days are alike. Each one should be fully convinced in his own mind. The one who observes the day observes it in honor of the Lord. The one who eats in honor of the Lord, since he gives thanks to God, while the one who abstains in honor of the Lord and gives thanks to God.
So, what does that say?
Who wants to summarize that?
People can observe days
As special.
or not as special. But everything we do should be for the Lord, right? So we can, as Christians, observe different days or not observe different days, but all that we do should be pointed towards God. So we should, if we're going to celebrate a holiday, we should make sure it's pointing us towards God. I mean, everything we do should be for Him, right?
And I like there was one spot right between the for God and whether you can or cannot make a day special. Each of you should be convinced in your own heart. That allows for some differences,
Each should be fully convinced in his own mind. He who regards one day as special does so to the Lord.
But it's not
Eats
important to you.
meat, he eats it to the Lord. He gives thanks to God. And he who abstains, so he who doesn't do it, does so to the Lord and give thanks to God. This is more individual, personal. We can't just make large, broad statements. Okay, Exodus 20, 3 to 5. Who had that? Trevor.
You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me.
So that's just the commandment about idolatry, to not make a graven image, to not bow down and worship it, to only worship God.
So this week, 2 weeks ago, I was talking about where to place the Christmas tree in our house. And I was like, my couches in my living room face each other like this, the coffee table in the middle, like the first combination. I was like, if we make it an L shape and the tree's right here, we can all sit on the couch and worship the tree. That's what I said as a joke.
And you all
Like, because I kind of think sometimes we worship our trees and like we care so much about how pretty it is and how decorated it is. So I made this joke, but Ellie won't let it go because I was totally joking. I don't worship the tree, but
you think you worship.
But I know it can become an idol. Anything can become an idol,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So my couches are still like this, and we're not currently worshiping the tree. Just so you know.
So clearly, we should not biblically let any of these things replace God in worship or become idolatry. Galatians 4, 8 to 10.
That was Andrew, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, when you did not know God, you were enslaved to those that by nature are not gods. Now that you have come to know God, or rather to be known by God, how can you turn your back to the weak and worthless elementary principles of the world, whose slaves you want to be once more? You observe days and months and seasons and years.
So basically, this one was a little bit more confusing, but clearly it's talking about like our past as unbelievers, like you used to do these things, and do you want to be subject to those things again? Observing special days and months and years, like specifically to Gentile believers, the Roman beliefs were very much centered around their gods and the moon god and their seasons, like the months and the days, and all those are like Roman gods and things like that. So it's like, do you still want to be subject to those things? Like, or should you put those things in the past? Again, I think we should really be carefully evaluating all these things we do as celebrations and be careful with them and not just blindly do them and not be enslaved to them and not fall back into worldly things. Do you wish to be enslaved by them all over again? Like, no. We shouldn't be controlled by these festivals or holidays, right? Okay, last one, Exodus 23. Franny had it.
3 times in the year you shall keep a feast to me. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread, as I commanded to you. You shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Adar, for in it you came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty-handed. You shall keep the feast of harvest, of the first fruits of your labor, of what you sow in the field. You shall keep the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in from the field the fruit of your labor. 3 times in the year shall all your meals appear before the Lord.
So, there are 3 biblical holidays that were commanded to the people of Israel. The Passover, the Feast of Weeks, or Pentecost, and the Feast of Booths, where they'd go camping.
Delayed favorite.
Yes. They would literally set up tents. So they were, interestingly enough, this is kind of like the biblical reasoning behind holidays, why holidays can be good. I think God intended these holidays for the Hebrew people and holidays for us, and special days, set apart days for us as Christians. We're not necessarily under the law, so we don't have to follow the same holidays. We can think about these too, they're biblical holidays, as remembrance events. Because I think God knows that humans are stupid and we forget, and it helps, like Thanksgiving, the purpose behind Thanksgiving. It's not in the Bible. It's not, Thanksgiving, thanks is a biblical principle, but the actual Thanksgiving holiday is not in the Bible. But holidays, like 9/11, we're talking about that one maybe becoming an official holiday. What does it help us do? It helps us remember, right? And annual events help us because we kind of, we might just move on and not remember things that have happened, important things that happened. So we have holidays that remind us to be thankful. We have holidays that remind us to give thanks. We have holidays that may remind us to thank our veterans and remember the people who have died for our country, right? Memorial and Veterans Day, things like that come around every year. We take a pause and we remember. And God had these for his people, in the Hebrew people too, to remember, hey, remember when we got out of Egypt and the Passover happened and God saved us, right? Important. I think it's an important biblical principle that God has built into us to have holidays to help us remember, right? Ellie?
That's why we do communion in the first week of each month.
Right, because it's to remember. Do this in remembrance of me, right? Communion is a kind of a holiday, honestly. The Bible doesn't tell us specifically what day or how often to celebrate. It kind of just says as often as you gather. So our church has picked once a month to do it.
And some churches do it.
Some churches do it every Sunday, right? But it's not a specific set thing, but it is to help us remember. Yeah, it's exactly the same principle as a holiday, a set apart day, something special.
I just appreciated that last verse that Fran, you read, talked about how God said to the Israelites to do these 3 holidays with these reasons. But I think most of us look at holidays as a day off of school, and certainly our country has put things like that. But the country, like the reason we have President's Day, the reason we have the 4th of July, the reason we have Labor Day, there is true good meaning behind it. But I know for the most part, I'm like, sweet, I don't have to go to school or I don't have to do X, Y, Z. I'm only looking at it as a break.
Right.
And it's a reminder that that's not necessarily the purpose of holidays.
Correct.
Or holy days.
So, okay. So that's kind of the biblical perspective on holidays. I would say, what do you guys think? In general, are holidays supported in the Bible to celebrate them? Yes or no? Yeah, I think holidays that point us toward God and help us to remember are. But it's very easy for, I think, holidays, things to turn into idolatry. And that's what we need to be careful of. That we don't make it about the day or make it about us, right? That these things point us towards God. And I think almost anything can point us towards God. A day up in the mountains in his creation can point us towards God. A conversation with a friend or a good book or a good song can make us turn and start thinking about God. And those are all going to be positive things, even if they're not just reading your Bible, right? Like those can, if they point us toward God, if we do it for his glory, we can do all things for God's glory. Lizzie? Halloween, okay? Let's get to some of these ones. Okay, Halloween, its origins and what it celebrates. Does it point us towards God? What is it celebrating? What is Halloween celebrating?
Getting candy.
Getting candy, okay. Dressing up.
Yeah, isn't it?
Henry.
Started in the medieval times for scaring away bad spirits.
Right, so it kind of has evil origins. What were you going to say, Ruben? Yeah, it's All Hallows Eve, right? Is their origins, and it's kind of like, or Day of the Dead celebration too. Maybe that's like
not the first.
Latin.
The Day of the Dead is November 1st.
Right.
But guess what? This is kind of interesting because Halloween means holy.
All Hallows Eve, All Holy Eve. It's the night before the Day of the Dead, I think, or something is where it started. So we think about some of the origins. What about like the evil origins of Christmas? I had a whole document. I left it in my office. But I researched some of this. You can research some of it, like some of the origins. A lot of these holidays were... why was Christmas on December 25? Yes.
There was a holiday on December.
There was already a holiday on December 25. And it was an evil holiday that was kind of barbaric and European. And they were trying to replace the evil celebration with a Christian celebration. When the Roman Catholic Church got established and the Roman government Christianity became the official nation, they were trying to replace evil holidays and celebrations. So when you say some of the roots of Christmas are pagan and evil, they tried to replace the evil things with Christmas, which is a holiday to celebrate Jesus' birth. Literally, Christ. You know what Christmas stands for?
Christ.
Mass. What is Mass?
Church.
It's church, the Catholic Church gathering. So it's Christ Mass. They would have a special Mass remembering Christ's birthday. So why there's the Christmas tree and some of these other origins is because, it got placed over kind of a evil one, and they tried to take that day that a lot of people were celebrating already and point it towards God. So in some ways it has innocent, positive origins of like trying to turn people away from other evil things and turn them towards God. Easter. Why is there Easter bunny? Why is there Easter eggs? Why is there all this weird stuff?
Because non-Christians wanted to make it a non-Christian holiday.
Okay, that's part of it too, right? We have these become national holidays, and then people who aren't Christians aren't going to go to church. So what do? But some of the eggs and bunny things actually have like weird origins too, where connection to other things. So holidays get other traditions added on to them that aren't their original intent. There's a lot of extra stuff, and it's not necessarily evil or good. It's just like a tradition. But I think with all these traditions and things that happen, we just have to be careful that it doesn't become about those things. We think about the original intent. Are we celebrating Jesus on Christmas? Are we celebrating Jesus' resurrection on Easter? Are we remembering, are all these things pointing us towards God? Thankfulness, not a biblical holiday at all. It's an American holiday that we celebrate being thankful for harvest and being thankful for provision. And is that biblical? Yes, that's a biblical concept. Thanksgiving, the holiday is not in the Bible to celebrate Thanksgiving, but can it point us towards God? Yeah. Yes, it absolutely can. So you can do it for the glory of God. What are you going to say, Ruben?
What about holidays like St. Patrick's Day or Martin Luther King Day?
Good, yeah.
Specific people.
Celebrating specific people. Good thought. How do we celebrate President's Day to the glory of God?
Without being idolatry. Think about the person.
What did we do at Mount Rushmore?
You made them an idol.
Carven idols, graven images of our presidents. So, yes, it could become idolatry. But we as Christians should not let it become idolatry. And we should thank God for good presidents and good leaders, right? Like, how can we turn that towards God? That's what we should think about. How can this turn us towards God, right? Even Martin Luther King Day. We should be God created us all in his image. Like, we are all equal. Let's remember racial issues and turn towards God, that he designed us and he loves us all. We're all equal in his eyes, right? Like it takes sometimes creativity. How do we turn St. Patrick's Day towards the glory of God?
I can take people. Number 2.
I have no idea.
And I just take it. I just ignore
Right.
it.
Okay. So our short answer. Let's get there. I'm sorry. I wanted to get more into the weird origins, but if you're interested in that, like where's the Christmas? Just Google that stuff. It is interesting. But short answer: are the holidays we celebrate biblical? In the broad sense, no. The Bible doesn't say to celebrate Christmas. There's no verse that every year.
But Jesus does say to remember the sacrifice.
Right. Easter is the most biblical holiday Christians have, right? That was celebrated in the early church and actually celebrated kind of every week, like Good Friday and Sunday Easter. It became the reason we go to church on Sunday. They would remember Christ's resurrection because it happened on Sunday morning by gathering on Sunday morning. That's literally the reason we have church on Sunday.
Right.
So
it's not the Sabbath.
Right. Over the Sabbath, where the Jewish day was. So most of these holidays we celebrate aren't biblical, right? They aren't commanded in the Bible, and they don't line up this is why we celebrate. Many of our holidays were established on certain days to replace pagan holidays, so they have pagan traditions mixed in. Now, getting to these 3 R's, I think there's a reason behind that, and it can be a good idea to replace these holidays, right? Now, the second part of the short answer is the biggest concern with holidays is they don't become idolatry and worshipped, but they direct our focus and worship towards God. And that's with all the holidays like we just talked about. They should point us towards God. Now, here's a principle of 3 R's that I hope you can remember. Write these down that you can apply to all things in culture, okay? You can look at everything in culture, and you have an opportunity to do one of 3 things as a Christian to it. First of all, should you, if it's a thing in culture, let's pick something.
Like music? I don't know.
So you have a choice with, if we pick a holiday, let's pick a holiday.
Let's pick St. Patrick's Day.
Let's pick St. Patrick's Day. I don't know much about St. Patrick's Day.
Let's pick Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. That's where we remember. Okay.
Remember those who died.
Right. Memorial Day. Should we reject it because it's sinful? So we have a choice. If it's a sinful thing in our culture, we have a choice to reject it and say, no, I can't do that. It is wrong for me to celebrate that or to do that. So, First one is receive. Sorry, I'm out of order. Okay, the first option is, should we receive it? Should we just like do what everyone else does exactly the same?
No.
Or probably not. Like, I don't know. Like, that's if our culture is celebrating it. Christmas. You take Christmas. Should we just do it like everyone does it and just make it about gifts and decorations and things?
Mardi Gras, that's a great one.
Should we just receive it because like it's straight from the Lord? Like it basically the only thing we should receive straight to us is biblical, is the Bible, right? We should just apply to our lives exactly how it's written. Like we probably should do that with any American holidays. But
Are we on Christmas right now or Memorial Day?
I don't know.
Okay.
But neither of any cultural holidays we shouldn't just receive and just be like, okay, what are we supposed to do for this holiday? I'll do it exactly like America does it. Probably not. Now, or should we reject it and say that is completely unbiblical and sinful for me to take part of it? Like maybe the drunkenness part of St. Patrick's Day. Like everyone get drunk on St. Patrick's Day. We should reject that because drunkenness is a sin. Or 3, can we redeem it? And that's where most of these are going to lie with holidays. Can we take the positive parts of them and help them to shape them, turn us towards God, like taking the candy cane. Look, if you flip it over, it looks like a J. It points us to Jesus. Kind of silly, but that's what redeeming it is, right? We take these things and we turn them for good. And that's what's mostly we're going to have to do with American holidays, is not just receive them, do them exactly as America does. Most of them we don't have to just straight up reject. Maybe parts of them we do because they're sinful, but most of the time we're going to redeem them, which means to turn them into a positive thing that turns us towards God. That's, I think, the most thing we have to do with most of the holidays. It's fine to celebrate holidays, but we do everything for the Lord, and that is how we operate, so it includes holidays. Rest is good. Biblical principles we can find in all kinds of things. Points us towards God.
And there might be some holidays that your family chooses to not receive and they choose to reject.
But generally, like there was a couple verses that talk to us not about judging others. Like if one family decides to trick or treat and another doesn't, that family shouldn't be judging the other family because they chose to do that. If we can trust that they are redeeming it in a good way. We make our own choices. Thanks, everybody.